One summer moment can change a child's life. Through Toys for Tots Give and Go initiative, your support provides books, games, toys, and outdoor adventures that spark curiosity, creativity, and a love of nature. Whether it's fishing, learning a new sport, reading under a tree, or playing with friends, these moments build confidence and lifelong memories. For too many children, those moments never come. You can help change that this summer. Visit toysfortots.org. Toys for Tots, delivering hope beyond the holidays.
When you need to build up your team to handle the growing chaos at work, use Indeed Sponsored Jobs. It gives your job post the boost it needs to be seen and helps reach people with the right skills, certifications, and more. Spend less time searching and more time actually interviewing candidates who check all your boxes. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit at Indeed.com/podcast. That's Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Need a hiring hero? This is a job for Indeed Sponsored Jobs.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi. Okay, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
It's More Money with leading economist Steve Moore. Now, here's your host, Steve Moore.
Welcome back, folks. This is the More Money Show, and I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful celebratory 4th of July weekend. My next guest is a good friend, a sparring partner, a smart guy. He was the chairman, CEO of UBS, one of the largest banks in the country. You have seen him many, many times on Fox News. He worked for President Obama and President Biden. So, Robert, thanks for coming on the show.
Me on, Steve.
So it's 4th of July. Happy 4th of July to you. And
you as well.
I was talking earlier on the show with Jonathan Turley, who's one of the top legal scholars in the country, about
smart guy.
About the Declaration of Independence. And tell me, if you would, what the Declaration of Independence means to you.
Well, to me, it's all about freedom. It was, all about making sure that America, stood as one, and everyone could, see the future. And I think 250 years later, we've had made extraordinary gains, and we're going to continue to make extraordinary gains. And to me, we're the luckiest people in the world living in America.
Me too. I always say, I said earlier on the show, there are 7 billion people on the planet and 350 million of us are in the United States. So the other 19 out of 20 are not as lucky as we are. So we were really blessed by either being born in this country or coming here.
Can't say there aren't bumps in the road, but, hopefully we do our best to smooth them out.
So one thing that worries me is that we are seeing, as you know, a bit of a leftward drift of the Democratic Party, at least in some places like New York City and some of the elections, towards socialism. I know you're not a socialist. You're a free market capitalist. So what do you make of that, being a Democrat, someone who has a good standing in the Democratic Party? I'm a little disturbed, frankly, Robert, that more Democrats are not speaking out against some of the ideas that are being spouted.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think if we look at our country, 60+% are center left, center right. And in some ways you could say we're the silent majority. But right now the bookends on both sides, whether it's the ultra conservative, what I would call MAGA wing, that is where I would call them nationalist populists, or the far left, democratic socialists, or in some ways populist progressives. They right now, both sides have the bully pulpit. I mean, you could argue that's how President Trump became president, with a populist view. And you could argue that's how Zoran Mandani became, mayor. And I think the one thing that they all have in common is, although I do think President Trump has kind of gone off the track, but with some of his globalism approach with tariffs and the war, but was affordability was front and center. And whether you agree with either side's execution, I certainly don't agree with either side, Zoran or the president. What I would say is it's what's resonating the most. And
so
and just to add, but let's just take the name of your show, Steve, More Money. Well, today, people don't feel like they're making more money.
Yeah.
Wages is below inflation. Actually, people feel they're losing money every day. So, kitchen table issues are front and center.
So if and I know you do advise Democrats, you've advised, as I said earlier, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, many other
including
prominent Democrats. Sorry?
I also advised Mamdani, although we disagree on how we'd execute his plan. But yeah, I did the actually prep for his Trump meeting with him.
that famous Trump meeting, which was kind of a love fest in some ways.
Yeah, so, who would have thought that they'd have a bromance?
So you're a bromance. So you're a perfect person to answer this question. Then, when you advise Democratic candidates, from the centrist Democrats to some of the more liberal ones like Mamdani, what is your message to them? What should be the message of the Democratic Party on July 4th?
This is where sometimes you and I align, and people don't like when we align. Let's just say that we agree affordability is an issue, and let's say it's housing, it's healthcare, it's food. I think you have to do it with growth. I don't think you do it with cutting taxes. And I don't think you do it with raising taxes, and I don't think you do it with trying to burden some regulation. I think you have to do it with growth. And the way I look at it is we have to have a better plan on skilling for AI. We have to figure out how to get manufacturing back here front and center. And I think we really have to. I think a lot of it has to do with skills and education. Doesn't mean you have to go to a 4-year college, but if you look at the job gains, it's in the healthcare and professional services. We're losing jobs in most other sectors. That is, I know that. Go ahead, sorry, Stevie.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt, but look, there's nothing you just said I disagree with. I think 80% of people would agree with what you just said. The question is how? How do we move how do we prepare our workers for this AI revolution, Robert? Because for better or worse, it's coming, it's here, and how do we make sure that the gains are widely shared without disrupting the free market capitalist system?
I think we have to be actually a bit disruptive. This is where I would say, like I said, it doesn't have to be burdensome regulation, but that doesn't mean no regulation. So let's just take data centers. There is no way in hell, that hardworking Americans should pay for that excess demand.
I agree. Totally. I completely agree with you.
That should be passed down. That's one. Number two.
In fact, I think I'd even go further than you. I think the data center, you're going to come into a community with the data center, you're going to pay all the power costs practically. Why not? You're making
so there's the bid offer. So in my opinion, there are things we can do. When I look at right now what's happening, you and I are both supportive of the Warner Brother Discovery Paramount. People would say, why is a Democrat supportive? I'm supportive because, in my opinion, broadcast and news is regulated, but we don't see, TikTok and YouTube being regulated, or Meta, and they're actually gaining more advertising dollars. They're more content driven than any of these. So in my opinion, this idea that we got to throw out regulation, I think, is silly, but we have to be smart on it, and we have to be dynamic. And I think we're behind the 8 ball on AI right now.
So in our final 2 minutes or so, well, first of all, let's stick with that. I agree with you. I think AI, I worry. I don't know if we're behind China, but we're certainly in a race with them, and it's a very close race right now. I want to make sure U.S. dominates.
Why are we letting them take our chips and our IP? Like that, we should. Well, listen. China.
So you say that we shouldn't allow, say, NVIDIA to sell chips to China?
I think we have to look harder at how. Listen, in my opinion, China's the 800-pound gorilla, and we're the 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah.
And so I call ourselves frenemies. Sometimes we're friends, sometimes we're enemies. But I think what's good for one is good for the other. And certainly, it's not like they're allowing us into China to live in a free capital market society. So they only want certain things from us, and we should be very cautious on what we give them, and we should be very cautious on how we allow them in on foreign direct investment.
Well, I think who you sound like is Donald Trump, and that's kind of an interest, because I think that's sort of their approach as well, Robert. So in just our last 60 seconds, it is 4th of July. I hope you're going to have a wonderful one. Are you optimistic about America's future?
I'm always optimistic about America's future. I think that the president made a mistake on the war. In my opinion, I would have probably done things a little differently, but hindsight's 2020. I do think he has to get back focused on the economy and affordability, because today's employment numbers, they weren't good. Okay, people are leaving the work.
The ones that came out on Friday. Yep, I was on Fox, and I was like, these are disappointing, no question. Yep. Yeah. Well, listen, Robert, thanks so much. Let's do this more often on the show and on Fox News. Steve, and I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July. And folks, I
always
hope
a pleasure.
You all have. You too. I hope everyone has a great 4th of July. And please celebrate this great country. And please, maybe the most important thing, because I know we have an older audience on this show, and I'm so appreciative of people tuning in, even on a 4th of July, to listen to the More Money Show. But teach your kids, teach your grandkids about the greatness of America. Read them the Declaration of Independence. Read them some Thomas Paine and Common Sense, because most kids are not exposed to it. And it is one of the greatest stories ever told, the birth of this nation. And when we see young people saying, I don't really like the United States, and we're flawed people, everyone is flawed, but where else would you rather be? So we are blessed to be Americans. I'm going to have a wonderful, wonderful time tonight. I'm going out. I'll be on one of the buildings, top of the buildings on Pennsylvania Avenue, to watch what Donald Trump says is going to be the greatest 4th of July fireworks event ever. And, Donald Trump never exaggerates. So have a great, great weekend, folks. And we will be back. Same bat time, same bat channel on the More Money Show.